What's going on, guys? It's Adam P. Hope things are well, and welcome back to more Newcastle United news. Listen, Tottenham, it's over with now. It's done with. But we have to learn from our mistakes before we talk about any news. It's the same again this season. Trying to defend these one-goal leads. We haven't done it against any of the top sides except Man City this season. Tottenham came to St James's Park. Didn't play a great game of football. Scored 2 goals and got a point from the game. In a defensive point of view, we're gifted 2 goals away, and it's a game, despite Newcastle being on top of, should have won and dropped 2 points. We have to look ahead towards Burnley. This is the team that's lost their last 5 games in a row. Dr. Newcastle, we'll see you now. If there's any team out there that's going to give Burnley points, it could potentially be us, but assuming we get past Burnley nice and sound, we are then looking ahead to Sunderland in the derby. And I have to say, after watching the Liverpool game last night at Anfield, I have to say a fair bloody play to Sunderland because they were a better team in the game. Should have won the match. I think Liverpool were extremely lucky to score a goal in that game. I mean, there's a shot off target that's deflected into a goal for them, and Sunderland's missed an absolute sitter to win the game at the end. So that's a team that's in red hot form. And if Newcastle does not sort this out against Burnley, you know what's going to happen next week. We're not going to hear the end of it. So we talk about it when that moment comes. Of course, if you guys are new around here, make sure you get down there, hit the subscribe button. Thank you so much for 65,000 subscribers. If you are, of course, new to the channel, make sure you get down there, join the journey so you don't miss out on any upcoming videos as we head across to Germany next week for the Champions League. And starting off with this video, let's talk about the main man against Tottenham. Yet again, our club captain Bruno stepping up in big moments for Newcastle United. How many times has he done this in the last 4 years at this football club? And for me, when you talk about players that retire, leave Newcastle, who goes down as a club legend, I think Bruno is number 1. I actually think Bruno is the best midfielder in my lifetime I've personally seen at Newcastle. And giving him the captain's armband has to be one of the best choices we have made at Newcastle. At the time, he's getting linked to Manchester City. Pep Guardiola's constantly on the phone, trying to swerve him to make this move over to Man City. And yet, didn't kick up a fuss, stayed at Newcastle, and he is a club legend. Turned up again against Forest, and despite losing the game, and even Cristiano Romero mocking Bruno with his own celebration against him at St James's Park, despite that, Bruno spoke incredibly well after the game, while also calling the team out. I'm very unhappy. We cannot concede a bicycle goal in the last minute in our box. We lost 2 important points tonight at home. I feel like we've lost the game. My goal was a great moment, but I would swap that goal. I would change anything for the 3 points today. Everyone had to defend as if their lives depend on it. I feel sad. I feel unhappy for the fans. It's not the way I want us to play. Everyone is disappointed in there. And one of the key points I thought was fascinating inside that little, almost a bit of a rant from Bruno after the game, is that he felt like everyone had to defend as if their lives depended on it. So the fact he's mentioned that would heavily imply he didn't feel like there were players in that team that defended that second goal well. And you have to look at the logistics behind it. You have to look at the evidence behind it. I've watched that goal back a lot of times now. And for me, there's a lot of mistakes in that goal. But the big one for me, and this is a player who has not performed barely at all this season, Anthony Elanga, does not challenge for the ball at all. Ball watching, constantly ball watching this season. The balls came over. Romero goes for the bicycle kick. I'm not expecting Elanga to stop the bicycle kick from happening, but if he just stands in the way, if he puts the player off or just gets in the way and actually contests for the ball, there's a high chance that he doesn't get a good hit of the bicycle kick. There's a high chance that the bicycle kick could have been blocked, or there's a high chance that it just doesn't happen. And Elanga does not commit for the ball. Watch it back as many times as you want. He does not challenge Romero. And when Romero is unchallenged inside the box, he's just going to try. And even then, after he's kicked the ball, there's still mistakes in there. It's an absolute pain roller going into the goal. When I watched it in St James's Park, and the first initial glance, I thought it was a class goal, but it was just anything but. It was so slow. Ramsdale sees it late, and it's just honestly an awful goal to look at. It gets worse every time you look at it. It's such a terrible goal, and probably the worst bicycle kick I've ever seen scored in my life. Newcastle has to do a lot better with that. And the fact that Bruno's came out and even said that, I would give my goal away if I meant we won the game. He speaks so well. In terms of a captain, bear in mind, this is a captain who's not from the area. He's not even from this country, from Brazil, comes in and he just speaks like he's from the area. He just understands Newcastle United. He gets the club. He knows where the club wants to be, and he just understands what the fans want. And I've not seen a player like it. I just haven't seen a player like it who's so dedicated, and not just the way he speaks about the club. Actions speak louder than words. He does it on the pitch. Came on for tonight at half time. Changed the game in a positive way. It's got a huge, crucial goal for Newcastle when they were fruitless in front of goal. And that's what a big player does. He scores in big occasions, and time again, he steps up for his football club. So even though in this video, yes, of course, we're looking at the negatives of the Tottenham game, the big positive being he plays for Newcastle. This guy plays for his football club. You'll not see a better player like it. He's just so committed and so dedicated. And for me, he is the legend going down in this football club. But in terms of other players at the club, the big one being Yoane Wissa, because it has now been reported that this weekend, Burnley, he is expected to be on the bench. It's going to be this week. He's coming back. He will finally be playing in the team. He's played 2 11v11 games behind closed doors at Newcastle United. We don't know if he's scored in those games. We don't know if he's played well in those games. Newcastle has kept that information private. But Wissa has been playing for Newcastle behind closed doors and will now get the opportunity on the bench against Burnley on Saturday. In terms of timing, probably about the best timing possible. For me, I'll be intrigued to see what we do against Leverkusen during the week. But the Burnley match is obviously getting some game time. It's almost setting them up for the derby, because the derby next week for me is probably the game where Wissa's going to have a great impact on, because that's the game that's going to make you a straight-up legend if he scores in that game. And I feel like the derby game as well, especially the game against Sunderland, where you're going to need some firepower. You're going to need a team to have a moment in them. You're going to need a team to give it a real go and just get it together, because otherwise Sunderland's going to get the last laugh. And for us going into that game, Yoane Wissa coming back now is just the perfect timing for it. And for me, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued to see what he does against Burnley. I'm just glad to finally say the end of the saga. He's not going out to the African Cup of Nations. He's sticking with Newcastle until the end of the season. He's going to be with us through thick and thin, and he's going to play for this football club. He's actually going to play for us, and finally we can give Nick Valdemar a rest, and finally we can actually have a striker up front with Premier League experience, and we know can score a serious amount of goals for us. And I just have to say, I think that just sorting this injury thing out, finally we can just look over that mountain, and finally Newcastle can just get this sorted out. And speaking of the strikers, we've mentioned him a lot already, but bloody hell, how bad was he like again yesterday? I was watching the Sunderland game, and Dan Ballard absolutely backpocketed him. He is the Swedish Husky. He's terrible. He was terrible again yesterday. And if Wissa can get it together nice and early for Newcastle, get some goals straight away, considering all the money he spent in Wissa, they're still going to get the last laugh. Newcastle will be looking better off for them. I think goals will turn into points as well, because despite Newcastle's inconsistency this season, Newcastle still has been playing well for the most part. Point for us. You just throw points away and concede crap goals. If Newcastle can actually score some goals, have real attacking players in there, it's only going to go one way, and it's going to go our way. Newcastle is a team that can pull us around. We're fortunate enough where the league table is still heavily contested outside of Arsenal. You can finish anywhere in the league table, so Newcastle just has to get some wins together. We're on track to do so. But Tottenham's a real serious reminder that we are going to be punished if we don't take chances and if you don't defend games well, and if players also aren't committed, as you could see in that second Tottenham goal, without just digging up a Langer. But our players as well, you've got to step up in big moments, and you've got to defend like your arse is dependent on it, because I don't think players have been doing that. So it's up to us now against Burnley at the weekend to sort it out. But just in terms of this video, I just wanted to talk through the obvious points. Bruno, massive message to the players, and Wissa, massive message about him coming back into the team. So for Newcastle now, it's essentially now or never. You got to sort it out. For me, the derby game is the big one. You know, Leverkusen next week, sure, it'll be nice to get the points now, but truthfully, PSV at home is winnable. I know they beat Liverpool, but you should be beating them at home. PSG away, by the time you got PSG, again, they're probably already going to be fully through, so Newcastle might be lucky enough to get against a bit of a lesser PSG team. Get the points there, you're fighting the Champions League. League table matters for the future of this football club. We've got to sort it out. We've got to turn it around. We've got to get European football for next season, and you've got to make sure we do not lose on Derby Day, because that Sunderland team, fair enough, they're a good side, so we've got to sort it out against them. Take care, guys. Let me know your opinions down below anyway. Let me know your feelings on the video, and let me know what's your feelings on Bruno, what's your feelings on Lanka, and of course the Wissa situation. Appreciate you guys watching. Take care, and we're going to see you all in the next one.